Welcome to the Women Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Amanda the Money Healer, and today's episode is coming from our live webinars where you get to hang out with me and other women entrepreneurs to learn about money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies and get your questions answered. To join us, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com where you'll see the link to register for the webinars at the top of the page. Can't wait to see you there. All right, let's open it up for Q&A.
So if you feel like you're in your zone of genius and you feel like you're comfortable with what you're doing, you're inspired by what you're doing, and you don't feel like there's progress being made accordingly, what is that a symptom of?
When you say progress being made, what would progress look like to you?
Unreasonable expectations put on people, maybe.
Okay, let's break it down because usually, I love that. That's a great question. So when we ask this question, usually it's going, we have an expectation of something happening and we believe we're in our zone of genius, but then we're not getting the outcome we expect. So first break down, what's the outcome you expect? So what is it that you would like to have happen?
In my experience, it's having other people kind of doing their part to put the mechanics together and what I'm doing.
Okay.
In a timely way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have partners who are procrastinating.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So that's an interesting one because always remember you're co-creating your reality. So whoever you're attracting into your life as partners to delegate to or to teamwork with, you're going to be as stuck as they are, you're going to be stuck too. So it's really important to consider who you are partnering with in business. We could say partnerships. We could say even in with your VA. You know, if your VA is stuck and out of their working genius, they're going to have a hard time too. So it might be that both of you have a shared goal, but you are doing things to get to that goal that aren't in alignment for each of you. And so always remember, procrastination is a sign of being out of zone of genius. So it could be, to me, it sounds like that person is probably doing tasks that they don't enjoy, but they want the outcome. And so there's stuckness. Does that resonate at all?
Well, it is. It's really fascinating, actually, because when you talk about this, it's, when we're doing things to get things done, it's funny how things in his life always, and I mean this, like always, come up at the most inconvenient time. It's like he doesn't really, he says he wants something, but there's always something that comes up on a personal level that just distracts him for weeks at a time. And it's mind-boggling because it is mind-boggling, but it's not because it's something to expect, because I can tell like what he really wants in his life is completely different than what he says that he really wants. And so these things just keep coming up, like just some of the most weirdest arbitrary things that you could think of on a personal level keep coming up.
Yeah.
And I had to come to Jesus talk with him, and I decided to just kind of let him go. I'm like, dude, I'm on my own on this because this is not working for me.
Yeah, you just hit on so many important points. So let's break a few of them down. I mean, awesome first for you having the insight and the self-reflective awareness to go, hey, what you're saying and doing don't match, which means this is out of alignment. So, so a lot of times when we partner with people, we have a daydream fantasy of who they are versus seeing who they actually are. And always remember, you know who people are by what they do, not what they say, right? Like, because your outer world is always an expression of your inner world. So if your outer world is showing action, it's showing alignment, it's showing that you're getting things done like you said you would, that person's aligned. Their outer world is reflecting their inner world of alignment. If they are, what you're talking about is self-sabotage, right? If someone says they want something and then they keep having kind of emergencies come in, the universe is getting them back into alignment by having those catastrophic or self-sabotage moments come in. And so to me, if I were in that situation, I would do the same thing as you, as I'd go like, hey, this partnership isn't working. Love you as a person. Thanks for wanting to do it. But hey, I'm on a quest and I'm on a mission. If you're not aligned with this quest and mission like I am, you're out of here. And this is where Zone of Genius helps a lot and values helps a lot because you can say yes or no to things very quickly. You can go like, Is this activity in alignment with my values and my genius? Is this person in alignment? And I know it sounds harsh. I know a lot of people struggle with this, especially depending on how close that person is in your life. And think of it as you are actually a guiding principle for them, showing them the way to get into alignment. So you letting them go is a benefit to them, not a drawback. I always say that loss is the gain of that which is more aligned. So often when we lose things, we want to be like, oh my God, it's a big loss. Realistically, it's the gain of something more aligned. And because if you're kicking it out, there's a reason for it. And so good for you. And that self-sabotage piece will come in. The interesting thing is every once in a while, I'll see people who are doing things in their genius and they keep sabotaging. This can be a fear thing, right? We could have money blocks. So when we have unconscious money blocks, we will sabotage ourselves from living in our highest genius because it scares us. And this would be something like you're afraid of success, let's say. So you could go, I'm afraid of success. And so subconsciously, as I get through almost to that upper limit, this is where Gay Hendricks calls it the upper limit problem, you self-sabotage. And sabotage strategies that we use, I think of these as unconscious vows. So it's like you've made an unconscious vow to a money set point or a success set point that once you get close to it, you start to get uncomfortable internally because you've been conditioned for this set point your whole entire life. And so until you get conscious and understand that set point, it's going to be really hard to break through. It's why I think that every single person needs to do this type of work with me, because until you break through these things, you're going to keep getting the same results over and over and over and over again. And so self-sabotage is a real interesting beast. So good for you. That's great. I bet you will see big growth in your company now because you'll start to attract different people because you've set the boundary of like, hey, I'm serious. That sends a commitment vibe to the universe. Like, oh, you're going there. You're ready. Now you can have someone sent to you who's more in alignment with your mission.
Yeah, I've already noticed that actually. When I started looking for specialists to do things that I'm delegating out, I mean, people who really align with where I want, where I'm going, and really validates sort of the direction I'm going and the purpose and the ultimate goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And there you go. You just detected another quote unquote symptom of alignment, which is things happen more quickly. You attract different types of people. I always like to remind people when you've changed your subconscious, you will know because you'll start getting different outer world results. Always remember, outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Okay. So if you don't like what you're getting on the outside, work on what's within. And this applies to money, relationships, business partners, clients, houses, so everything, right? And this is why I love to work with people on money, because money is such an outer representation of your inner world belief system. And so it's an easy way for me to detect some of the unconscious blocks that people have of getting in alignment with their zone of genius. All right. Any other questions? We're going to have it's going to be called Zone of Genius Biz Blueprint. And it's a 4-week program where we first identify your working genius. We're doing like an actual assessment with a big report, and we're going deep dive. This is going to be a small group coaching program. So it's only for 6 people at a time. So I can really deep dive with you. We get to spend 4 weeks together, 2-hour sessions every week, plus live direct contact with me. So you go through your working genius audit, and then you go through blocks. So we have you write a money story, and we break all of that down and understand what's stopping you unconsciously from breaking into your zone of genius fully. And then we do 2 weeks on hot seat coaching of your specific program, product, service. And I help you realign it, delegate from that place of like, what is it you're good at? Who do you need to find to fill this in? What is it you're good at? How can you make money from this place? And so it's a 4-week deep dive, lots of time with me. So just go to zoneofgeniusbizblueprint.com, zoneofgeniusbizblueprint.com. I've been into Zone of Genius work. I'd say when I first met DeMartini with the values, I ate it up. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever read in my life or learned about and experienced. And I implemented it like crazy to switch my values from being on food stamps to creating a 6-figure business in a year. And that was because I moved wealth building to my number one value. And I just made every decision from that place. It was amazing how it changed my life. And then I ran into Zone of Genius work with Gay Hendricks. And then lately I've run into this Pat Lencioni work. And I'm like, oh, I love to combine all of these things added with the layer of what I know, which is helping people with the quantum physics of manifestation, and combine it to help you get there the fastest. So I'm always looking for the best tools that help people understand themselves better. Because when you understand yourself, you drop doubt, you drop imposter syndrome, you drop uncertainty, and you really lead your life from your place of alignment. And you drop what everyone else says. And you just go like, I don't care what you say. I know what I'm here for. And when you get into that place, it is powerfully magnetic. You're unstoppable. And so I love to help people become unstoppable by being in alignment energetically. And doing any type of genius-based work to me is what really helps you get into your zone of manifestation the most effectively. It works, like it works to be aligned. It works to understand the fundamental principles of how quantum physics works and how the energetics work behind it. Anytime you feel off in your being, you instantly know I'm going to be sending out a blocked resistance signal. That it's the simplest thing to just wake up in the morning and go, how do I feel? This morning, Abe and I woke up and we did EFT tapping because we were like, okay, we're feeling some fear come up about this. And let's tap it out. Let's get energetically aligned. And it was amazing because within 1 hour of sitting together and journaling and doing tapping, we came back after getting ready. We're like, we feel really damn good, and that's all it took. And it took the awareness, right? This is where the NFA Money Formula is so powerful. 3 steps is all. You've got to recognize, step 1. Step 2, reframe. Step 3, repeat to reprogram. Okay. That recognize part is everything, right? If you don't take the time to know yourself and you don't recognize your blocks, your uncertainties, your doubts, your genius, you can't even get to the next step because you got to know yourself really well. So to me, every tool you can use to know yourself well is a really powerful tool and helpful for you stepping into your zone of manifestation. So I know there was no question, but I knew I could talk for a while longer. Anything else before we wrap up?
Well, the imposter syndrome, I know you talked about that in the last webinar. I missed that. It's a big deal because I recognize even myself, like that's one of the things that stopped me from putting a lot of social media content out because, I'm confident that what I do is a very different approach to it's a different approach than what is traditionally out in the scientific community. And that is when you fly in the face of a lot of traditionalists in terms of science and stuff, people are either it's easy to get challenged.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that.
Definitely.
So I think it's not just me, but I know that there's a lot of people who wanted to do things like this, but are always like, who am I to do this? Who am I to go out there and put this content out there? And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it why am I afraid of what people think of me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sometimes it's not like everything, but
yeah.
a lot of times when I'm about to put something out there, I'm like, the blowback on this could be very harsh.
Yeah.
But I don't
want. Who are you afraid of judging you the most?
A lot of the scientific leaders that are in the scientific matter subject leaders.
Okay. When you were young, did you have somebody who judged you harshly for things that you thought were good ideas?
Yeah, my dad.
Okay. Yeah. So play with that. Do you know tapping? EFT tapping?
Right.
Okay. Play with that. Like I would go back to the origin point of where that started. And maybe you don't know the exact moment, but think about times when you felt judged by your dad specifically, because especially what you're going to do is project onto those scientific leaders, your dad's vibe of judging you from your perception. And you're going to replay that out and it's going to subconsciously block you and cause resistance. And so I would play with like going into the pain of when your dad judged you and letting yourself feel it. So like in tapping, it's like tapping and just going like, even though I felt like my dad judged me, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Even though I'm afraid of powerful people judging me, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Even though things I did when I was little were judged by the adults in my life, I deeply and profoundly love myself. And just start playing with it and let the emotion come up, because remember, what you avoid persists and grows in size. So what most people want to do is avoid, because remember the pain pleasure principle. They go, I don't want to feel the pain of being judged. And so we're going to pretend it doesn't exist, instead of actually just going like, yeah, I felt like shit to be judged when I was a little kid. And it doesn't matter if it was right or wrong. And you don't need to worry about demonizing your dad. Like, let all that go and just know, hey, I get to clear this from my system, right? So you could tap, you could pray, you could meditate, do whatever for you. Let's that out of your system so you can get aligned. Always remembering that emotional holds in your being is what is attracting your way, your future reality. So I could hang out with any one of you today and I could say, what are the top 3 things you feel afraid about? And I can predict your future based on the degree of fear you have and the degree of procrastination and the degree of uncertainty. Because you write your future by how you feel in the now. You write your future by all the things you're holding on to. It's easy to predict your future because you just know, like, I'm afraid of this thing. And so it's what you're saying is so brilliant and so true. And that's why imposter syndrome is so toxic. It's a toxic energy that keeps you stuck. And this is interesting, because when I say that, I know people with imposter syndrome want to beat themselves up about having imposter syndrome. Right? And so it's like, oh, let's step into love for ourselves. Even that, tap and be like, even though I have imposter syndrome and I doubt myself, it's okay. I still deeply and profoundly love myself. Like, it's okay that you doubt yourself. I mean, I used to be one of the biggest, most doubting people I know. I mean, I literally held everybody on a pedestal. Like, everybody was better than me. Men, women, like any color, race, religion, social status. Like, I felt like I was less than everybody. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome. And so it's the more that I've loved myself and the more that I've learned self-confidence and the more that I've learned to step into my zone of genius, it's very rare that I feel that way. And when I do, I love myself even more. I choose to love myself even more, right? Instead of beating myself up, I had a situation like this recently where I was like in public and I couldn't do tapping, but I was like, I'm feeling that marginalization feeling, or I'm feeling bad about myself. And I just like, as I was sitting in the space, I just said to myself, even though I feel like shit about myself right now, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Even though I feel less than everyone here, I deeply and profoundly love myself. And it worked. It was like, okay, let's let that go. Like, okay, I'm having a moment of doubt. Oh, well, let's move on, you know? So it's like, it's powerful stuff. I mean, what you're saying and bringing up is like, it's the gold mine key to everything. Unlocking your fullest potential. It's like, how much do I love myself and how much am I willing to just step into my fullest power?
No, it's
So,
like, as you were talking about that, I was thinking, how it was just my dad. It was like elementary school. It was, a bunch of people making fun of me for being different,
yeah.
not doing the status quo. I can't tell you how many times I didn't want to do the same thing other people did. And I never have. I've always wanted to, like, you know, be a contrarian in that way.
Yeah. I really hope you do my Zone of Genius biz. I want to know your profile so badly. I think I can guess, but because I know you well enough, but I'm like, oh, I want to play. Your mind will be blown about how it's the easiest tool I've ever seen or experienced to get you into clarity about why you are the way you are in work. I like Zone of Genius alone doesn't do it. Values alone doesn't do it. Like this tool, I'm like, wow, it's been a really cool tool. Thank you for sharing all that. And you're right. I was having a cool conversation and then we'll wrap up because I know it's time. On my mastermind yesterday, we were talking about, someone said, I didn't experience a lot of trauma when I was young. And I said, well, here's the thing. When you're a kid, it doesn't have to be like on the scale of trauma, a 10. It could be a sideways glance from your parent, a teacher, a friend. It could be like a mean look that happened when you were doing something that was exciting to you. And that alone could cause you right now today, as a 40, 50-year-old person, to feel stuck. It's wild how sensitive we actually are. And so those are the things you want to start playing with and releasing. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I really, really, really enjoy hanging out with you. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you want to learn actionable strategies that magnetize money as a woman entrepreneur, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com to register for an upcoming webinar. These are interactive webinars where you'll get to hang out with me and podcast fans live for powerful lessons about money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies. Plus, there's live Q&A to get all of your questions answered. Again, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com and click on the button to register for a live webinar now.